In today's lesson, we'll be learning about slope. As mentioned previously, a linear relation is really just a pattern, and this can be represented by two types of equations that mean exactly the same thing. Instead of rate of change, we are now going to call it slope, and this is represented by the variable of m. Instead of initial value, we are now going to call it the y-intercept, and this is represented by the variable of b. As you can see here, there is a person running up what looks to be a pretty steep hill. But how could we describe the steepness with a number? We know it's pretty steep, but how steep is it? As you can see here, there's a person running up what looks to be a less steep hill. But how could we describe the steepness of this hill with a number? We know it's less steep than the previous one, but how much more or less steep is it? I want you to think of slope as the steepness of a line. As you can see, there is a black line here. I've drawn a right triangle underneath it. The rise is the length of this side of the triangle, while the run is the length of this side of the triangle. The rise and run will help us describe the steepness of this line as a number. Again, I want you to think of slope as the steepness of a line. As you can see here, we have a black line. I've gone ahead and drawn a right triangle underneath. Rise refers to the length of that side of the triangle, and run refers to the length of that side of the triangle. Again, the rise and the run will help us describe the steepness of this line as a number. Let's say you want to determine the rate of change or slope of this line. What you would do is draw a right triangle underneath this line. The rise would be the length of this side of the triangle, while the run would be the length of that side of the triangle. Let's try to figure out the rise of this triangle. It starts at 30 and ends at 70. Therefore, the rise is 40. Now let's take a look at the run. The run starts at 6 and it ends at 14. Therefore, the run is going to be 8. Therefore, the rise is 40 and the run is 8. But we need to do something with these two numbers before we can find the slope. As mentioned previously, slope is also known as the rate of change, but it also refers to the steepness of a line. The equation for slope is rise over run. We already figured out that the rise was 40 and the run was 8. We can simplify this by taking the numerator and dividing it by the denominator. In other words, 40 divided by 8, which becomes 5. Therefore, the slope is actually 5.